Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and all between the binary. This is Get Informed with Wajeeh. I'm Wajeeh Lion. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, I have some good news for you. I do have some good news. Amazing news. We, I saw that a lot of you have been asking to get some training regarding grassroots organizing. We have built such an amazing community that is focused on collective action, grassroots organizing, and wanting to make a difference. So I reached out to my mentor and my trainer and my uh, educator when it came to grassroots organizing and the person that has showed me the way, Justice Gatson. She has at least 20 years under her belt being a grassroots organizer. She's a doula, a black woman in Kansas City. She used to work for the ACLU. She has her own nonprofit organization called Real Justice Network. And she is very well respected in her field. And she was kind to agree to join us and do a training. But I think the training will be off of Substack and it will be a Zoom training type thing for several purposes. I think grassroots organizing training is not something that just happens in the general public. So there'll be like I believe that I'll make up a sign up sheet or I'll make up a list and or a link for people to schedule it and prepare themselves for it. And when we do this type of training, it needs to be done in a specific manner. But I'm very happy and proud. I'm glad that she agreed to give us some of her time. All I would ask of you guys is to support her. She is working on starting her own podcast, so we'll be helping her and starting her own podcast. I think it's very important when someone gets the spotlight, like myself, to. I think it's important for me as someone that who's gained that spotlight to also give that spotlight to other people who have, you know, who have been doing a lot of difference and who deserve that spotlight, I think, more than I do. So hopefully this will give her a lot of attention and give her a lot of support from you guys. But also you guys will not regret having her in your life. She is a house of wisdom, a house of knowledge, especially when it comes to uh, American oppression in the United States, segregation, you name it. She's been part of it. Um, yeah. The good news, you're moving your shoulder. I'm moving my shoulder just a little. I'm not. Um, I found out if I go to bed and I have my sling on, I wake up with my shoulder like being less sore. But during the day, I take the sling off. Thank you for asking. Questions here, actually. Let's ask questions. Let's. I posted a thread on my channel chat where you can go in and ask your questions, and I will bring this closer. Healing slowly but surely. I was thinking about, smoking some weed before this podcast, but I figured I'd finish and then I go smoke. I have medical cannabis, but I have switched it to CBD now. Don't tell anyone. I think the Trump administration is recategorizing cannabis. They're still working, I guess, on it. I think it really needs to get reclassified because it is used for medical purposes. Reclassified, FDA approved, and state licensed medical marijuana from Scheduled 1 to Schedule 3 of the Controlled Substance Act. So they did. They did reclassify cannabis into a Schedule 3 drug. Uh, this makes a big difference, but especially for someone like me that has, chronic pain. What did you do for your birthday? Oh my God. I had myself some Somali food and my hubby got me a moose cake, nothing too big. And then I watched some movies, took a nice walk, got myself some nice clothes. I've always wanted to get like one of those knitted shirts, like one of those, they look so cute. So I got myself one of those for the summer. They're quite expensive, but I got myself one of those. Well, that's what I did for my birthday. I hope you had a wonderful birthday. Thank you. I appreciate all your wi- cute wishes, and nice wishes, your kind wishes. I appreciate it. Thank you. How do you know Malcolm and Jacob? Just curious. Have a great day. I met Malcolm through the. So before Substack, I was on Twitter and I was a political analyst there. And I would speak on the largest Twitter spaces on Malcolm Knowful, especially if there's any conflict. We cover the conflict. I saw Malcolm talk several times, and I reached out to one of my contacts that knew him to connect me with him. And I interviewed him once regarding his work with Gulf states, and maybe I should do another interview with him, just interviewing him about that. Um, and we got along very well, and then we were preparing for another interview, and he asked whether I would want to do it on my channel or his channel. I said, let's just do it with your channel. So he said, let's go to Substack. So we went to Substack, and that's where we started collaborating. We did the first collab where I caught on the show, and you guys really enjoyed me being on the show. You asked him to bring me on again, and that's how it came about. It's reaching out, trying to collaborate with people. My son's birthday was yesterday. Happy birthday! It's a good birthday. I was very thankful that my birthday and Trump's birthday is not in the same month. It's just one thing I'm very thankful for. When do you expect me to see with Jahat Ali when I hear back from him? Um, I just also don't appreciate the council culture from either side. I hope that changes, but that will not prevent me from talking to anyone. Uh, but we'll see. USA seems to stuck with the last 4 decades of assessing Iran the role as enemy, despite whether Iran continues actually playing that role. How can we ever expect to have a path to peace with if we do not switch to a more open embrace of Iran? Yeah, that's exactly what I've been saying. So I was saying basically, how do you expect Iran? Like we've been painting Iran as this enemy, right? Uh, the fact of the matter is that we caused a coup, and then we put the Shah because we thought the Shah would be our, closest ally. And it's not like that Shah wasn't corrupt. That was a very corrupt leader. And it took an Islamic revolution to kick him out. And when they kicked him out, we didn't deal with that with grace. We dealt with that with even more spying, and they did kidnap our U.S. Embassy. But instead of the United States dealing with that in a matter where they could calm the situation, it always has been hostile. I always think that like the U.S. could have apologized for the coup that they have made and decided to establish a good relations with Iran. Why is the United States building a relationship with the former ISIS, ISIS and Al Qaeda commander and general Ahmed al Shara or Ahmed al Julani, whatever you want to call him, in Syria, but Iran as a country is not okay. That approach is just confusing to me sometimes. If the United States wanted, they could have softened their tone at any moment with the Iranians and showed genuine change in relations. But our constant aggressions toward them hasn't helped. There's two stories about deportation that I posted about it. Am I feeling a little nervous? Not as nervous as I should be. If you would discuss Dr. Rehab theory about the realignment of tribes, especially in Jordan, affecting what is happening in this war. For example, blocking borders and making things more difficult on U.S. Slowing down food delivery and shutting off water, etc. The tribe alignment being a stronger factor than actual border or territory, etc. I'm still waiting to see how accurate that is in this war. I don't see the Jordanian king going anywhere. The Jordanian monarchy is certainly not heading anywhere. Uh, the tribes can be comforted at some point. But they do have a lot of power. They do have a lot of power. And the last thing anyone wants to do is remove a leader in the midst of a war, especially your king. That's the last thing you want to do, especially even if you're a tribe. Not a good timing. Uh, yeah, I don't see it as a good timing, and I can see the king of Jordan asking Saudi Arabia to send soldiers to support his military against his own military. I could see the king of Jordan going to the Gulf states for help for that. And the Gulf states wouldn't mind helping another monarchy because they support the idea of monarchies continuing to exist in the Middle East. Is Bibi going to help Trump get this deal done? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We have our merch is out and about. I shared the link about it recently. We have t-shirts, we have mugs, we have yard signs, we have bags, we have hats. You name it, we have it. Make sure to go grab your product today. And oh my God, thanks to everyone that gave me a gift yesterday. You didn't have to. That was very kind of you. You guys send me so much gifts. I appreciate you. Someone says gifts. I didn't know we could send gifts. People were sending me money over Venmo and Cash App. I consider that gifts. Let's see if there's any other questions. Thank you. Thank you. No, Gemini. We got a whole bunch of Geminis in the building. Would you talk about the large difference between where we actually are on our world oil supply and the prices? Saw your Shell CEO price. Apparently, like the depending on who you ask, you get different numbers of how many more days we have. There isn't a set day, specifically like for the whole world. Each country will be a little bit different. The United States is going short. It is an oil producing country. It is selling for the rest of the world, but we need that oil. The shortage in the world supply is compounding day after day. We're at a shortage of 1.6 billion barrels of oil. Billion. So we don't have much left. We should have about a week and a half, 2 weeks. Why is there no reaction from people? Because majority of people in the United States have not been fully affected. The effects of the ripple from running out of oil hasn't hit most Americans yet. Once you see the price of oil hitting $5 plus, $6 plus in most states, that's when you'll see people start going crazy. It's $6, $7 in California, $8 in California, but majority of the country is not paying that yet. It's subsidized to a certain extent, according to some sources I'm reading. Can I discuss the role of women from childhood to adulthood? I know it's a lot. I should probably write an article about that before I discuss it to give you guys some background. But I did write you guys an article about how Wahhabism, the Saudi Salafist Wahhabist Sunni extremist ideology, that resulted in the radicalization of Islam across the world, and how the Cold War and the U.S. war all with the USSR led to the expedition of that process. The article is out and about, and it's worth every minute of your time. It's only 30-minute listen. You could listen to it while you're driving. I made sure to make it easy to understand. But it is important that we understand that article inside out if we don't want to repeat our history of creating more terrorist groups. Um, so take your time, read it, share it. Um, it's important that people uh, just talk is better than talking about. Just talk. It's better than talking about. What do you mean? Um, but the the women in Arabia have complex history, especially before Islam and centuries before Islam, and then um, a little bit before Islam, and then after Islam, there's a difference. Like there was a queen in Socotra in Yemen. She used to be the king of her queen of her people. And thousands of years ago, women used to be the rulers of society in Arabia, thousands of years ago. That changed after the Greeks or the Romans, I forgot. uh, and started changing slowly but surely. Prophet Muhammad, before he became the prophet, he was working for his wife. She used to be his boss, and then they got married. She was a businesswoman, a rich businesswoman, and that's how they met. So, just even to the Islamic history, like up to Islamic history, women had their own businesses, had their own uh, leaders, they had their own spot. But then the more time with the Greeks, Romans, and then Islam, it became a male dominated society. The reason I was suggesting I would write a paper about it and then discuss it was that way I could have the order correctly and I can have my facts refreshed. That's why I usually suggest writing an article before talking about it. But that's not a big deal. Um, the country for the last, the Arabia for the last 1,400 years have since gone dramatic effect. Became a male-run society where men run all aspects of the culture. But that wasn't always the case even during Islamic history. Some women, not all, some women rose to power, whether it was in the house of the Sultan or it was in the house of the Prophet. Women played an essential role in decision making. And there is a saying that we have behind every great man, a great woman, a greater woman, because that man wasn't created without the that woman support even in our culture. Women now in our today's life are viewed in one way as a commodity, even under Islam, whether they want to admit it or not. When you pay a dowry, that's a commodity. When a father is forced to have his young daughter get married at a young age so he can have a dowry to make a living or to make ends meet, that's a commodity. Girls are raised to essentially be servants of the house. No one will marry you if you don't know how to cook. No one will marry you if you don't know how to clean. No one will marry you if you don't know how to have etiquette. No one will marry you. When you have those like mothers instilling these type of thoughts and knowledge into young girls. So it's really difficult for me to just sit down here and give you my perspective because I come from a very extremist household that did view women in a certain manner. And that matter is that yes, you can go to school and get educated, but by the end of the day, your job is to raise children and create the next generation. That's their job. That's their mission in life is to create the next generation and raise them right. In fact, there is sayings that if you want to create the next generation, you pick the right mothers for your sons. So you have like arranged marriage being very serious, and it has some households. My mom was trying to get me married by the age I was 18, and she was basically trying to get married find me someone like younger than me, a year or two. So that would be a girl at 16. Of course, I was absolutely no for me, but it was a struggle. Um, and those girls are looked at that way. And if a father supposedly sees a righteous man, the right thing to do is to give up the girl without a dowry, which is her right to ask for a dowry. Dowries are usually kept for the woman. That's what it's supposed to be. The money is supposed to be for her. But a lot of times we see dads just taking that away from the girl itself and keeping the money for himself instead of the girl having it for herself. If they divorce, depending on the type of the divorce, the wife sometimes is forced to give that dowry back to the man. Um, and all of these rules and regulations change a little depending on what type of Muslim you are. Are you Sunni Muslim? Are you Shi'i Muslim? Are you Sufi? And to top everything off with that, a male can marry up to four wives, and the wife cannot marry more than one man. It's confusing. It's confusing, and I have a lot of opinions about it. And if I sit down like this without actually having to reflect on everything I know, it wouldn't be doing it justice to the topic or to the ladies that are from the Middle East. But my mom did not see herself being oppressed. If you asked her, "Are you happy with your hijab?" she would say yes. Um, if you asked her about, I mean, she also told me that I don't know if you know this, but in Islam, if a father kills his son, there is not much of religious ruling that uh, will take the father to hell or whatever. In fact, by law, if a father, like my mom was telling me this, if a father ends up honor killing his son or daughter, by law, the max they would go is spend 3 days in prison and then get out. That was my mom telling me this as a child. So honor killing is quite prevalent. In fact, yesterday I saw a very scary video of a lawyer in Jordan, a female lawyer in Jordan, justifying honor killing in families, saying, "Oh, it's absolutely fine. I can't blame a father for honor killing his daughter or anything like that." So it gets complicated because honor killing was a thing before Islam, and now it's a thing during Islam, and there isn't much done about it, neither all from the religious perspective or from a legal perspective. And women, girls, and gay men usually are one of the first to go through any of these honor killings. But by the end of the day, woman is not the leader of the community or the leader of the Islamic world. Um, and right now, we are seeing a push toward modernization and toward remarketing Islam as a way of protecting its women. Uh, the law is the same for Sunni and Shiite when it comes to honor killing. It's frustrating. Let's see if there's any other question. Do you think this is the badly backed mortgage crash? I think we will find some sort of economic crash here sometime soon. Brace yourself. Honor killing is unfortunately not limited to Muslim world. Honor killing is also in Christian families. I don't know if you know that. It happens in the Arab world, but it's not limited to the Muslim world. And it happens with some Christian families in across the Middle East. I heard about a lot of you know people getting disowned in the West, but the honor killing exists in Christian families as well. Am I talking about Wall Street falling? I'm talking about stagflation and inflation. Potentially, we'll see. Wall Street falling is a big word, especially that there's a lot of money being pumped into it with Elon Musk becoming a trillionaire and several other companies going public. It's really frustrating. I don't know what the fuck to say. Are there wedding vows? Yes, there are wedding vows. It's not done like it is done in the US. Weddings, Islamic weddings have like let's say for example, I am trying to get married. So I go to my mom and I say, I want to get married. My mom starts doing her own spy agency contact, talking to all the neighbors and her sisters and her cousins. Who do you know that's trying to get married? We're looking for this type of facial features. We're looking for this type of height. We're looking for this type of education. We're looking for a good family. We're looking for those type of and she's sent pushes her spy networks out. And then she finds a few options and then she goes and meets the girls, does the interview on your behalf for the first one, see if she likes the girl herself or not. And then she comes back to you with some agency news. We found this girl from this family. We found that girl from this family and this one from that family. And I like this one and I don't like this one. And she's cool and she's not cool. And you get the tea and you pick one. And then the family does a showing. So before you do the showing, the mother and the sisters and the aunts will go to this family and get to know the girl and meet her family and see if there is a family uh, likelihood of uh, merger and compatibility. And then after they find out if there's compatibility with the family or not, they say, "Okay, son, do you want to see this girl?" And he goes, "Yeah, I do." So the son would go over with his brothers and his father and his uncles to meet the father and the brother and the uncles of the other family. So they would show up, and if this is just the showing, so not too much family, just the immediate family. They would show up and they would have their tea and then their coffee, and then the cousins and the brothers would step out, and maybe sometime the fathers would step out. And then the girl comes in with a tray of juice and a drink and water or coffee. And she comes in into this guest living room. There we have two living rooms, by the way. We have a an official living room for guests, and we have the family living room. So, she comes into the guest living room with some juice, and she puts the juice on the table, and they sit down sipping juice. And he goes, "What's your name?" And she goes, "I'm Sarah." "Hey, what's your name?" "I'm Abdul. Nice to meet you." And of course, the girl is like, "What's your zodiac sign?" Of course, this fucker doesn't know what zodiac sign is. Like, I don't know what zodiac sign is. And she's like, "Okay, what are your hobbies?" And he goes, I like riding horses. He'd never ridden a horse in his life. "I like riding horses, giving poetry." And start giving his own spiel, like he's like giving his own CV. And this is the moment they have like a glimpse of whether I will like this girl or not. And they have like basic talk, and it's just breaking the ice. And that's all you get. And then they split off, and the fathers come back, and the cousins come back, and the girl will go back to her family. And then he goes and has another debrief with the family and the mother. The dad, the mother, and the siblings sit down. They have a debrief. "Oh, I like this. I like that. Is she a good fit? Is she not a good fit? Oh my goodness. Oh yes. Oh no. Oh no. I didn't like the mother. I did like the son. I did not like the father. Blah blah blah. Whatever it is." And then, if they decide to move on forward, there is كتب الكتاب, the writing of the agreement. That's where the girl gets to give her proposals. That's when the girl gets to make her demands. "I want you to pay me $50,000 dowry. I want you to get me a $100,000 diamond ring. I want all my friends and families and cousins to be invited to the wedding. I want to continue and pursue my higher education. I want to have a house independent of everyone." She gets to throw anything and all of her demands. That's when she gets to throw her, like, "Oh, I need to have my own kitchen. I need to have my own maid." Whatever she wants to demand, she gets to demand. And now, after that, comes the time of the husband to agree on those demands. If he doesn't agree, then this agreement doesn't go right. And then once they agree, they sign, she gets her dowry. Legally, technically, they're married, but they haven't done the wedding yet. That agreement they do to allow them technically, that we call it an engagement. Engagement. But technically, it's a legal wedding. And the reason they do a legal wedding before the wedding itself is because that's the only legal Islamic Sharia way to allow those two newly engaged to meet outside of the household independently and get to know each other romantically without family members having to be present. So they do the legal marriage, but they call it an engagement. And the engagement, the family of the son, they come in with gifts. Usually they come with in candy, and they come in with a very expensive showcase that have uh, silverware and chinaware. Sometimes they bring in, like clothes for the bride in the future. Depending where you come from in the Middle East, they have different traditions. Cash is no. The usually the girl is the one that demands how much the money wants, and they become very expensive. And then you have, the mother. She's gonna want to show her sister that she's gonna have a better wedding than her sister did for her son. And I'm gonna show the whole world that no one is gonna do a better wedding than the wedding that I'm gonna do for my daughter. And then it becomes a family investment of $500 million of how much we're gonna spend on this future wedding. That you're gonna invite half of the country that you don't even know just to impress uh, people and feed the country and who's paying for it? The son. And the son is going, oh, I it would be cheaper for me to stay at home, to stay single. It would be cheaper for me. So yeah, and then they get married. I told them gay weddings much cheaper. No dowry. Everyone has to pay the other dowry, so it's equal. Nah, they don't want to do gay weddings there. Although gay weddings in Arabia would be badass, wouldn't it? We know how to party without alcohol. Imagine if we included alcohol. No, no, things will change. I promise you. We'll have a gay wedding in the future in Arabia. Don't worry. I haven't seen more gay people than the people of Arabia. You know, just energy wise, we're so gay. Arabs are the gayest people ever. They don't have something called personal space between men and other men. Like that just doesn't exist. The personal space, the personal bubble that you have between people in the West is unexistent between men in Arabia. In fact, if you see two men holding hands walking in the middle of the street, that's totally normal. And it's not considered gay. It's considered showing close friendship. One time we had a former minister of labor and a former member of the Shura Council of Saudi Arabia visiting the United States for a conference that my dad was running and I happened to be at. And I had to be the person that walked with this um, minister from one place to another. And the way we did that is we held hands and we talked. And when you hold hand with another person, with another man, and you're talking, you're signaling to the rest of the world that we are in the middle of a deep, important conversation. And that conversation is not okay to be interrupted by anyone else. You'll see many Arab political leaders walking with other political leaders holding hand in hand and they're talking. And you'll see them being guarded by bodyguards and they're walking in the middle. That's just a sign. That's a sign to everyone. It's fucked up. You guys cannot hear me? No sound? I just got a phone call, so I have to deal with the phone call. I don't understand why people call me this early in the morning. I'm literally doing it so early in the morning so you don't have to call me. What was I saying? Um, I genuinely forgot what I was talking about. Holding hands, men being Arabia being so gay. Yeah, we have one of the largest gay communities, underground gay communities in the world. Um, our society is segregated, men and women, which increases that and that tendency of homosexuality, and it is more prevalent. Unfortunately, we have a culture in Arabia of the of a harassment culture or an abuse, a sexual harassment culture of Arabia. If you are a top and you are quote unquote raping someone who's a boy or a man, you're not gay. And that is a culture that is quite prevalent, unfortunately. Unfortunately, that's quite prevalent. And it becomes doing so over getting caught and having the shame. Like, so you would do so for two reasons. One, you don't want to get caught by the law, and you don't want to have the shame of society. So if you get caught by law, at least you say, "Oh yeah, I'm a man. I was just doing my business." You would face justice, or you would go to prison every once in a while for doing something like that, but you wouldn't have the shame of you are gay. That's fucked up, but that's what we have. That's that's what you have when you criminalize the whole society from existing, and people are trying to figure out ways to do it. Are the people doing it gay? I have no clue. But sexual oppression in Arabia is so prevalent that a lot of people, a lot of men from Arabia, when they come out, they act like loose animals almost because they've never had a drink in their life. I've never had normal intimacy with regular people outside of marriage or outside of their everyday life. They just, many of them don't have any clue how to talk to other people, how to go into a date, how to have romance. They just don't have the knowledge, don't have the know-how. I'm not saying everyone is that way. I'm just saying a lot of people don't have that experience because we are frowned upon having any type of relations outside of marriage. With your extensive knowledge of the people of the Gulf and Muslim in general, do you think Western media fear uh, monitoring about the danger of the Iranian wanting a nuclear weapon to use on Israel? America has any validity? It seems to me that the Iranians, despite any uh, fascism and rank, are intelligent enough to realize that So Iranians have no interest of actually using a nuclear weapon. In fact, they have a religious fatwa from the supreme leader that nuclear weapons would not be used, but they do want to achieve a nuclear weapon because it would achieve a mutual assured destruction strategy game theory, um, that they believe would be the only way they could achieve the respect of the West, and the rest of the world. And they believe if they have multiple nuclear weapons, the United States would start treating them like North Korea or China. And they want that respect, especially after this attack. They are more committed now than ever to having nuclear weapons, not because they want to use it, but because nuclear weapons is a tool that is used as a negotiation tactic, and is used on the global stage for respect. Um, but the only country in the world that has used a nuclear weapon was the United States, and they have used it twice in Japan. I hope that answers your question. Does Iran want to achieve a nuclear weapon? Yes, they did. Anyone that tells you otherwise is lying. But they also understand is if they tested a nuclear weapon, there's a good chance that Israel might hit them with a nuclear weapon. So they need multiple nuclear weapons to be ready if they test a nuclear weapon, and just in case Israel sends one at them to have the ability of retaliating against the hit that Israel might hit against them. Otherwise, you wouldn't achieve mutual assured destruction. If I only have one rocket and I test it, and Israel hits me, I don't achieve mutual assured destruction. I'd need at least three, two, three, four. So if one rocket comes my way, I send two rockets away. That's mutual assured destruction. The exact reports on what damages has happened from U.S. strikes recently, I don't know yet. Someone is asking, has Iran reported damages from the recent U.S. strikes? I'm not sure exactly what is the extent of the damage at the moment. I can obliterate you, therefore you must respect me. That's exactly how it is, yes. Not my opinion. This is just how the world is operating. And there is not a single country that has a clear record. All countries I know in the world has some sort of black history. Their record isn't that clear. Israel is so different. Israel is so much different than what I thought. Learned. I feel ashamed. Listen, the we it was very difficult for the rest of the world to understand what's happening in Palestine, especially most of the Palestinians didn't speak English fluently and weren't influencers, or we didn't have the phones or the technologies that we have now, experiencing or seeing things in real time. Growing up, I was seeing things through Al Jazeera lens as a child, watching these violations happen in front of my eyes. But when I was in the West recently, My friends, my white American friends, were the ones living through the lens of the people in Gaza. So I had people, Americans, who don't speak a single Arabic word, all of a sudden waking up in nightmares, thinking of the people in Gaza because all they do is sit down on their phone watching what's happening in Gaza, watching what's happening in Lebanon. That's everything you need to know. Israel policy has not changed. It has gotten more extreme. It's past the hour mark. Should I call it a day? We have 300 people live today. Today is supposed to be a paid subscribers only, but we didn't do a paid subscribers. I might do it tomorrow or something like that. So make sure to become a paid subscriber. It's only $5 a month or $35 a year. And if you want to become a VIP, it's like $300 a year, unless you want to pay your way or pay what you can. It's like 100 or 150. But if you can't afford it, just let me know. I'm more than happy to give you a premium membership on the house. Just 2 days ago, we gave away like 10, 15 memberships away. So, just let me know if you need one. It's no big deal. I'm happy to give them away. We just need your support if you can afford it. That's how we pay the bills. Without your support, we wouldn't be here. Without your help, we wouldn't be here. Um, and I will definitely see about getting you guys an article about the male and female roles in Arabia, and then talk about the culture of weddings. Maybe do two different articles about the gender roles and then about weddings. Yeah, just for fun. I still need to do something about Orientalism. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and share. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching the recording. Make sure to hit that bell icon. We have our merch out and about: hats, shirts, bags, mugs, you name it. We have it. Make sure to grab it. If you guys want like travel mugs, I can work on getting you guys some. But otherwise, thank you so much. We'll see you later. Oh, and I'm working with Greg about getting you guys, excuse me, stickers.